Alright, Shalom. I want to give all honor and glory and infinite praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rachat, Kodash, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Yahweh means He is or He exists, the true name of God in the Paleo Hebrew. Bahashim means in the name, and Yahweh Shai means the Savior or He saves, the true name of the Messiah whom the world through ignorance calls Jesus Christ. Double honor to the elders and apostles of GMS who rule and teach well unto this day. Peace and salutation to the hopeful elect out there pushing His word in truth and sincerity. And the topic of this video is going to be, we have to pray for spiritual discernment. Okay, that is a necessity in this truth. That is a necessity if you're a man of the Lord, a man of Yahweh Shim Yahshai is asking for and coveting spiritual discernment. Alright, because in the book of Sirach chapter 2 it says, ye that come to serve Yahweh Shim Yahshai, ye that come to serve the Lord, prepare your soul for temptation. So being equipped with spiritual discernment is a form of defense against that temptation. All right, a form of defense against Satan and his blows. You see, so let's grab that word discern. In an etymology, it says to perceive or recognize the difference or distinction between two or more things. Right, you're perceiving and you're recognizing the difference between good and evil. You're distincting and separating good and evil. All right, making decisions that's spiritually profitable and forsaking evil ways that's spiritually draining. You see, it says also perceive rationally and to understand. Right, and that's why the scriptures say what? Well, all that get understanding. You see, so that's understanding Yahweh Shim Yahshai. That's understanding the scriptures. When you grab that word spiritual discernment, just a random Google search, it says it means to understand or to know something through the power of the Spirit, the Rachat Kodash, and includes perceiving the true character of people and the source and meaning of spiritual manifestations. And that's true. All right, the source might be bugged out. It's a bugged out source, but that in itself, that statement in itself is true. So those are abilities that we need in this truth. All right, to help us fight against Satan, to help us endure to the end. So this is 1 Kings chapter 3 and verse 5. It says, in Gibeon, Yahweh Shim Yahshai appeared to Solomon in a dream by night, and the Most High said, ask what I shall give thee. And Solomon said, thou hast shewed unto thy servant David my father great mercy, according as he walked before thee in truth, and in righteousness, and in uprightness of heart with thee. And thou hast kept for him this great kindness, that thou hast given him a son to sit on his throne, as it is this day. Verse 7. And now, O Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai, my power, thou hast made thy servant king instead of David my father, and I am but a little child. And we were all little children when we first came into the truth. And through the Spirit, we still babes, okay? Because why? Because there's always something new to learn, okay? There's always a new precept to memorize. There's always a new breakdown to sharpen up on. Which is why Yahweh Shai said what? Become as little children, or ye shall not enter into the kingdom of the Most High. Okay? Meaning what? Humbling yourself as a little child, so that way you could learn new things. So that you could absorb the truth. Like a little children absorbs everything that he sees. You see? So it says, 1 Kings chapter 3 verse 7, and I am but a little child, I know not how to go out or come in. And thy servant is in the midst of thy people, which thou hast chosen a great people that cannot be numbered nor counted for multitude. Give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to judge thy people, that I may discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge this thy so great a people? That's exactly what we need to be asking for. Understanding and a spiritual discernment, so that we could judge this great people. Because the Most High said what? Because the Most High set us up as judges over the nation of Israel. Okay? Isaiah 58 verse 1. 1 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 15. You see? So the Most High set up his prophets to be judges over his nation, to show them the right way. Okay? And we need to be asking for what? Understanding and that discernment, that spiritual discernment, so that we could do it correctly. So that we could do it honorably. When you got that word discern in the Hebrew, it says to perceive, to discern, to understand. You see, and I read those words earlier. They're all synonyms. It says to show oneself discerning or attentive, consider diligently, to teach, to instruct, right? So if you find yourself a teacher of the scriptures, then you need that spiritual discernment. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 8 and verse 5. Whoso keepeth the commandment shall feel no evil thing, and a wise man's heart discerneth both time and judgment. So if you want to be counted as a wise man, then you need what? Discernment. Verse 6. Because to every purpose there is time and judgment, therefore the misery of a man is great upon him. I'm going to read it in the NLT real quick. Ecclesiastes chapter 8 and verse 5. It says, those who obey him will not be punished. Those who are wise will find a time and a way to do what is right. For there is a time and a way for everything. Okay? There's a time and a place for everything under the sun. Okay? So with that spiritual discernment, then you know what time we in. You know, and you begin to learn and know what is appropriate in that time. Okay? This is Sirach chapter 20 and verse 1. There is a reproof that is not calmly. Again, some man holdeth his tongue and he is wise. So knowing when to hold your tongue and knowing when to speak is a part of that spiritual discernment. Okay? Going back to knowing what time it is. Jumping down to verse 6, it says, some man holdeth his tongue because he hath not to answer, and some keepeth silence, knowing his time, knowing when to speak. Okay? Knowing when it's profitable to speak. Alright? It might not always be profitable to teach the word, to preach the word. Sometimes it's better for you to be quiet and act like as if you don't know anything. But that's a part of that spiritual discernment. Okay? Having that spiritual discernment will tell you when is the right time to rebuke and when is the wrong time to rebuke. This is Proverbs chapter 26 and verse 4. It says, answer not a fool according to his folly, lest thou also be like unto him. Sometimes when you're out on the highways and the byways, or when you're trying to preach the word and you see somebody just being a fool, right? Being a jester, being an idiot, okay? Just a demon, sometimes it's better to what? Ignore him. Okay? Scripture say what? Resist the devil and he shall flee. So sometimes in certain scenarios, it's better to just ignore somebody who's not making no sense, who's just being an idiot. Okay? But let's read verse 5. It says, answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own conceit. So it's saying the exact opposite of the precept that we just read above it. And that's going back to what? Spiritual discernment, knowing when to speak and knowing when not to speak. Okay? Sometimes you have to rebuke a dude. He might be saying certain things that you just gotta like, nah, I gotta correct that. You know, I gotta bring out edification. Edification might come from his demonic statements. You see? So having the spiritual discernment, okay, praying for that spiritual discernment will allow you to know when that is necessary and when it's not necessary. And that's something vital that we need to have in this truth. This is Proverbs chapter 15 and verse 23. It says, a man have joy by the answer of his mouth, and a word spoken in due season, how good is it? And you feel that sometimes at camp, when you bring out that precept right on time, that perfect precept right on time, it just feels good. It feels nice, you know? So that's just like how it is in the world. Knowing when to speak, knowing when it's the good time to speak, knowing when it's the good time to strike, okay? Knowing how to use this world and not abuse this world. Knowing how to get the incentives and the little dainties out of this world without jeopardizing the truth, without jeopardizing too much of your energy. You see? But that comes with what? Spiritual discernment. This is Proverbs chapter 22, verse 17 through 21 in the GNT. It says, listen, and I will teach you what the wise have said. Study their teachings, and you will be glad if you remember them and can quote them. It feels good when you see your progression, when you're finally able to quote precepts, okay, when you're finally able to memorize certain scriptures and then actually use them in the world, use them in life, okay, knowing how to use them in certain situations. When you find yourself in certain situations, you can use the precepts, the certain precepts come to your mind, which allows you to use wisdom. Okay, verse 19, I want you to put your trust in Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai. That is why I'm going to tell them to you now. I have written down 30 sayings for you. They contain knowledge and good advice and will teach you what the truth really is. Then when you are sent to find it out, you will bring back the right answer. So that spiritual discernment allows us to know what's the truth. Okay, allows us to know what's the truth behind the scriptures and actually believe in it. This is Proverbs chapter 2 and verse 1 through 5 in the GNT. It says, my child, learn what I teach you and never forget what I tell you to do. Listen to what is wise and try to understand it. Yes, beg for knowledge and plead for insight. Look for it as hard as you would for silver or some hidden treasure. If you do, you will know what it means to fear Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, and you will succeed in learning about the Most High. So that's the spirit and the energy that we got to have towards this truth, okay? Which is why we have to be asking for spiritual discernment. We got to look for it and dig for it as if we're looking for treasure, as if we're looking for gold. And we understand that this truth is worth more than gold, worth more than treasure. So how much more should we be digging for this truth? How much more should we be digging for wisdom? You see, you got to want it. You got to be thirsty for it. You got to be hungry for it. You got to hustle for it. Verse 6, it says, it is Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahushai who gives wisdom. From him come knowledge and understanding. The Most High controls it all at the end of the day. You see? Because the ultimate goal is to be what? Scripture say what? Covered to prophesy. Alright, so you want to be knowledgeable in prophecy. You want to be as strong and equipped with many talents as you possibly can. Why? Because it gives you a better chance at salvation. It gives you a better chance to be protected when all hell breaks loose. But I'm going to end it off with Hebrews chapter 5 and verse 14. It says, but strong meat belongeth to them that are full of age, even those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. You see? And that's what we have to be coveting for. That's what we have to hustle for. The discernment to know between good and evil, what's right and what's wrong. Okay, the truth, facts, and fiction. All right, so I hope this video was edifying. I want to say Kohan Layam La Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahushai Ba'Hashem Rachak Wadash Shalom.